So this is the new Russell T Davies drama on Tuesday nights on BBC One, and it's a clever concept in as much as it follows the exploits of the Lyons family, not just in 2019, but 35 years ahead in the future. We've seen the first episode. What do we think? Matt, what was your first impressions of this, and will you be sticking with it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really interesting concept. I mean, most of this is set in 2024, isn't it? One of the sisters in the family, played by Ruth Madeley, has a child at the beginning of the episode, and then they say, "I wonder what life will be like for him in 5 years," and then we sort of have a montage that lasts 5 years.
What sort of world are we in? Because if it's this bad now, what's it going to be like for you in 30 years' time, 10 years, 5 years? What's it going to be like?
Did you know you can live forever?
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love?
We're just racing to the next disaster, and I keep wondering, when's it ever going to stop?
I do not give a... I'm not transsexual, I'm transhuman. I will be data.
Do you think you're going online? You make us sound ridiculous. Want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love?
I love you, Mummy and Daddy.
Tweet that.
It's interesting the way he sort of combines technology and the mundanity of everyday life. It's sort of believable in the things that will happen in the next 5 years. So one of the daughters of the brother played by Rory Kinnear has like a Snapchat filter that she can place over her head, which I think, yes, that'll probably happen in the next 5 years.
Perhaps that's something I should do with the builders. That would ingratiate me.
You use that or give it to them. You got Rory Kinnear, you got Russell Tovey, you've got Ruth Madeley and Reed, so a really good sort of ensemble cast. The only person who I didn't really gel with in this episode was Emma Thompson, who appeared sporadically on TV screens as this sort of caustic politician who sort of told it like it was. But you imagine that she'll have sort of a bigger role as it goes on.
Yeah, I was going to say, she is very remote in that first episode, isn't she? I mean, she is sort of completely separate from them. I mean, I really like the concept as well, and the kind of epic music that goes with it, particularly towards the end of that first episode. And it reminded me a bit of, if it were a Doctor Who episode, you were following the track of a civilization. There's that kind of grand romantic idea of a sweep to it, even though it's quite dystopian. It's done in quite a sort of romantic way. And there's sort of a mirror element running through that as well, isn't there? But for the sort of whole country, rather than focusing on one thing, you've got sort of the politics and the fake news, extremism and technology, which are all pushing in a kind of Black Mirror kind of way. The thing I did struggle with slightly is because it is so much more about the ideas, the actual drama between the family members, I sometimes didn't feel like it was quite working in the way that I wanted it to. So I mean, you've got a family that's very sort of consciously diverse. It's very racially diverse, and Russell Tovey's gay, and there's one of the sisters is disabled. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, Ruth Madeley's character.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so I think that's a really interesting setup, because what looks like a diverse family in the start looks less diverse as it goes on because of the way the world changes around them. So I thought that was really interesting, but at the same time, I felt that it kind of undercut the drama a little bit, because you could feel the moving parts of the script, the device of it moving on. Do you know what I mean?
I think it was more concept over drama and character, because I couldn't tell you any of the names of any of the siblings. I couldn't tell you Emma Thompson's character's name. I couldn't tell you anything like that. I could tell you about the technology and about those, but I couldn't tell you anything beyond the actual setup and premise. And
no, you're right there. I watched it last night and I can't remember any of the characters' names.
Because I'm sort of wrestling with, is this a good drama, or are we just being blinded by this sort of idea behind it? And
I thought it was well played. I thought all the actors were very good. Like the set pieces and things like that, where they filtered like the mundane. So, for example, when the sister goes out on a date with someone and it turns out that he's got this robot and he's used it as because he gets very lonely at nights. Let's just say that I like that scene. That was like, we have this. You'd have this now. These two single parents going on a date together, but because it's set in the future, he's got this robot, and then she finds an attachment, and that's the scene that's really stuck with me in terms of the everydayness of it. But I think you're right in that the focus, certainly in this first episode, is on the technology. I suppose it's establishing the idea, really, isn't it, of going forward.
I would also say, being the miserable one, that I did find them quite hard to connect with, because all of Russell T Davies's characters are quite forward and quite in your face, and in this, particularly the Ruth Madeley character grated on me a little bit. She's just a bit of a force of nature, but not necessarily somebody I'd like to spend any time with. And then you've got Emma Thompson, who is reminiscent of Sarah Lancashire's character in Mother, Father, Son, though nobody saw that, so that shouldn't be a problem for the comparisons there. But I can't decide.
Russell Tovey's character was very likeable, I thought.
Yeah, he's always likeable.
He did the accent that sort of threw me off.
I know, I suppose, being the sort of northern representative here, slightly, they cast a lot of sort of southern actors to play this Manchester family, didn't they? Rory Kinnear.
That's interesting.
And Russell Tovey, Emma Thompson.
I just wonder whether it's a good drama or whether it's just the concept that we like. Because all of us, in our praise of it, has said, "Oh yeah, I like this bit and I like that bit."
Well, it did keep my attention throughout. So I think it is a good bit of drama. I don't know. Are you talking about how much depth it has? Maybe is that where
whether
you are?
It's got any sort of grounding in it, or whether it's going to be.
Well, I think we're going to have to see where it goes next, isn't it? Yeah. Really. You want to talk about that ending, because I know on Twitter that you were saying, "Oh God, that ending was amazing."
The ending is, and this will go up after the episode is aired. So the ending says that there's been a nuclear strike and the sirens go off, and I felt like that was really frightening and really well done. There was bits of it I thought perhaps were a bit silly beforehand, but the way the world is now, I could see us being in that situation this time next year, let alone 5 years from now. So that bit did resonate with me, and it took a tonal shift that I wasn't expecting. So that's interesting. But I do wonder about whether it can sustain the sort of interest for me, or whether it's just going to be one big sort of revelation after another, rather than a proper family character-driven drama that I was perhaps hoping for it to be, that it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see where it finishes. I want to know where the idea is going. If I end up caring about the characters more than I do at the moment along the way, that will be a massive bonus. I think, as it stands, I think I will stick with it, beyond that, and see how it goes. I mean, I've seen the second episode, and I'm happy with where it goes personally, and I don't want to say anything specific about it, but I did feel that there was a bit more sort of character depth in that second one. The second one felt more character based and less ideasy, perhaps because of what we were saying about how you had to introduce all that stuff in the first episode, because that's your concept. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people to introduce, and it's got to be fun as well, so perhaps I'm being a bit harsh. But that was my main takeaway, was that I expected to feel some sort of warmth or connection with the characters, and the fact that I couldn't remember any of their names at the end is probably not a good sign. It's an interesting concept. It's been trailed like mad. I'm sure it's going to do well for the BBC, and it's going to be on HBO later this year. It's a co-production with them. So yeah, they're promoting the hell out of it. So years and years on BBC One, and you can catch up with it if you missed it. It's going to be on the iPlayer. Not all of it. They're showing it weekly, as the BBC should, really, on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock.